We should be live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. I so hope you're all well. Now, Jeff, who you can see there, is actually just finished having 3 sets of kittens because in the run up to this show, the audio froze, the video froze, everything froze, and it stopped working. But I do believe we have got a Jeff on the other end of the line. Are you there, Jeff?
I am, and yes, it was very stressful for a few minutes.
Excellent. But you're all good now. So,
We have
tell us. Sorry?
we have Station Master with us tonight. He says, "Got here early enough to get a comfy after my 6-hour journey home earlier." And he's asking Mister the Punderer, if he can steal one of his biscuits.
One of his biscuits. Yeah.
Andrew Norris made it on time.
Good evening, Andrew. Good evening, Station Master. I hope you're both well and welcome back. So, Jeff, what have you been up to this last week?
Well, I went all the way out to the East Coast, and now I'm in Kansas, which is why I look like I've been through a hurricane, because it's blowing a hooey out there. The wind is blowing across the prairie today.
Is it? Oh, good gracious. Well, if you can hear that noise, ladies and gentlemen, obviously I have my coffee machine running as I normally do. So I'm just going to reach across and grab my coffee fresh from the machine. Look at that. It doesn't get much better, does it? So, well, we've got a few things to look forward to this week. I eventually, ladies and gentlemen, I made it to Birmingham. The challenge to go to Birmingham back in the day, we did it. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But we've got some interesting things to look at tonight, not least of which is those questions you ask your friends. Jeff, have you got an example of a question you might ask a friend out the blue? Pick one. Can you hear me, Jeff?
Yes, I can now.
Yeah. Can you pick a random question that you might ask a friend out the air? Just to give an example of what we're going to be looking at later.
Random question. What's a favorite movie you've seen in the last couple of years?
That's the sort of thing, the sort of question you ask your mates when you're sitting around, you're having a beer or, over dinner. I mean, we got to talking about those questions and we've actually got some really interesting ones, and it sparked a conversation which led us to something really, well, I think, rather interesting. But first, I think we'll have a quick look at Birmingham. Now, Birmingham, it took me a little while to get there this time around, I'm afraid. One thing led to another, and it took a while before I could get there. But then eventually last week, I made it. And oh boy, I am here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Birmingham has changed. I haven't been to Birmingham for a long, long time. My grandparents used to live not a million miles away, near Lichfield. And so I used to go to Birmingham in the 70s and 80s, and it wasn't impressive. So I didn't go back. The ball ring was grubby. It was just cars everywhere. Wasn't impressed. So when I went back for the challenge, I wasn't expecting much. I thought, well, tell you what, we'll go and have a look at the library. That's supposed to be a bit special. And we'll go to Birmingham. I can tell you, I was blown away. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you, if you get the chance, go on a day trip to Birmingham, because I think it's amazing. The shops are good. The architecture is good. And they've got the Birmingham Library. Now, as you know, I am not a huge fan. I see a finger up, Jeff.
Station Master is asking, Gabriel, did you download my video?
Does that face tell you an answer? No. What video?
Yeah, I didn't know you had a video either.
No.
I'm
Oh,
afraid we may have had a clerical error. Maybe
yeah.
you need to send the videos to me, Station Master.
I don't remember seeing anything come in. I'm sorry about that. Um,
Oh,
if we can find it, or you can resend it, I can line it up and get it shown tonight. But I'm sorry, but I didn't see it. I'm really sorry. Oh,
anyway, on with Birmingham. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
it's okay. Yes. So Birmingham. So as you know, I'm not a huge fan of modern architecture. Some of the more brutalist stuff in the right setting, I'm okay with. But on the whole, modern architecture, I don't think they try very hard. If you want to see the difference, compare the city, where the planning regs are a bit different and they try a bit harder. So you get things like the Gherkin and more interesting buildings, and the Docklands area, where it's willy nilly, you can build what you like, and they're just like Legoland over there. Anyway, I went and I saw Birmingham Library. Ladies and gentlemen, have a look at this and tell me what you think. Birmingham Library. I think we should go in and have a look, don't you? The architecture of this place is absolutely mind-blowing. I'm really looking forward to exploring. Well, I don't know about you, but I think that building is stunning. I really do. It the thing I like about it is I don't know if you noticed there were lots of people there, and they were all just that. Some of them weren't even reading books. Some of them were just sitting there watching the world go round, and they were interacting with the building. The building was working for as a space for people to be in. It's a great place to be. And I think so many architects now, and I think Andrew Norris touched on this earlier on, they use their designs as an extension of their ego. And it's not about the environment, and it's not about the people that are going to use that building. I think the architects in Birmingham got it spot on right. There's so many different levels, there's so many different facets. There's even a bit where it's downstairs and it surrounds uh, table tennis, outdoor table tennis with a library around it, sort of subterranean. I mean, it's got spaces for everybody to do everything, and the number of people in there, you go into an average library and it's half empty. That thing was packed out. And one thing I did notice was the staff in there were all really helpful and friendly and happy. I think a good space engenders, if you could be miserable because of your space, I think your space can make you happy as well. And for me, I would like to go back and just pick a book up and go and sit down somewhere in that place and read it for a day. It's just amazing. And also the
Well,
journey. Sorry.
as I've said many, many, many times, there are some things you guys just do better than we do. I mean, I can think of a lot of things you guys definitely do better. Everyone talks about the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still being the best science fiction movie ever made. No, I contend to you that The Day the Earth Caught Fire is a much better movie.
Mm.
And I also have to say that you guys put more effort into having harmony with buildings, fit the surroundings kind of thing, than we do.
I mean, in a certain way, that building sticks out in its environment like a sore thumb. But in doing so, it works. I don't know, because
Yes.
it looks so out of place that it works. I can't explain it, but internally, it's designed for human habitation, which modern buildings often aren't. And I think that
It has a Guggenheim esque-ness to it. It reminds you of the Guggenheim Museum.
it also, there's some bits where I'm coming down the travelators or the escalators, and I'm panning my camera around, and you've got those galleries, book galleries, with the stairs going up and the fairy lights. It's like something out of a modern version of Dumbledore. The library in Dumbledore with the ladders where all the books. It's like that, but it's like a modern version of it. It's incredible. I love it. Anyway, that's Birmingham. So thank you very much, everybody, for suggesting I go to Birmingham. Tonight we've got 6 more destinations and we have a dice. So at some point, the destinations we are going to choose between are, here they are, Gloucester, Southampton. I can't read it. I can't read. Hang on. Wrong glasses. Oh, yes. So Gloucester, Southampton, Portsmouth, Hereford, Swindon, and Plymouth. Oh, so there's some interesting destinations there. Some easier than others. I'd imagine Gloucester and Hereford are going to be quite easy once you get to Bristol. Southampton will be doable. Portsmouth, similar to Southampton. Swindon, once you get to Bristol, although there's nothing in Swindon, I hope Swindon doesn't come up. I'm sure she suggested Swindon, but there's not a lot going on there. And Plymouth is the furthest away. But again, once you're in Bristol, I think we could probably do that. When you're suggesting places for us to go, and I would like for you to continue to suggest places for us to go, can you possibly come up with something to do? For example, we came up with the library. We had the suggestion for Hereford, and while we're in Hereford, we have to go to the cathedral and see the Mappa Mundi and get a print of the Mappa Mundi. That's our challenge while we're there. So if we go to Hereford, that's our challenge. Jeff, you look like you're about to say something.
Andrew Norris says, I worked for the Royal Institute of British Architects for 14 years. Is there anything this man hasn't done? Was he secretly? Was he what?
Yeah,
I don't know.
but I mean,
have you ever lived at 10 Downing Street, Andrew?
Mind you, when it comes to doing a lot of stuff, Jeff, you're one to talk. I mean, you've driven tugboats, lorries, you've driven trains, you've been a park ranger, you've worked in a steel mill. Your life story will be a really interesting book that thick.
Well, yeah, but it pales in comparison to Andrew's.
Maybe you should both write books.
Ian joined us. He says, hi, Gabriel, Jeff, and all. Station Master says there is an exhibition of Swindon's steam heritage. Also, the Great Western Railroad built a whole town for their workers with schools, hospital, and maybe worth a look.
That's true. It is a huge, because it was on the road going west out of London on the main line, Swindon. And yes, Swindon Works was very, very important, a major part of the GWR network. A lot of it has been destroyed or removed. There is bits. And yes, if Swindon comes up, I would imagine a GWR theme would emerge, although I'm not a big fan of the GWR, I'm afraid. Because of what they did to the Somerset and Dorset, but that's railway politics. We're not going to get into that. But yes, I would condescend to do something about the GWR if I go to Swindon.
Andrew says, no, Jeff, but I heard number 11 Downing Street was vacant, but I can't afford the rent. You know, I don't want to mention names, but there's an individual that we both know that that his house was a little rundown and tattered. Down in you know where I'm talking about, where the guy stood in the median and waved at everyone. Anyway, his house next door to him, the house, I saw it up for sale, and they wanted like $750,000 for it.
Really?
It was lavish. Yes, I mean, it had been complete at a gourmet kitchen. I mean, it was like a palace. So, yes.
Well, I didn't know that because it's just a very busy main road. I wouldn't want to necessarily live there. So yes, so let's find out then, shall we? Because I'm keen to know. I don't know about you, but I'm really keen to know where I'm going. So I have the dice. Also, this weekend I'm going up to my parents' house because I expect most of you knew that I lost my mum and dad over the last 2 years, and I'm going up in a hire van. Oh, hello! Hang on a minute. Hello! Oh, hello! Look, ladies and gentlemen.
You're there. I'm watching you at the moment, but I will move into the kitchen so that I don't get disturbed by the echo of the sound. But you're there, Gabe. Okay, and it's Jeff there. Jeff, hello.
I'm here, Andrew.
I'm watching your show, seeing you both there, and I thought I'd give it a go to try the WhatsApp phone number that you sent me a while ago.
And it is working. It is working, isn't it? That's good news.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, and I interrupted you in midstream. You were starting to telling a story. I don't know about the time sequence, but you started telling a story, and then I thought, damn it, let me give the guys a call.
Give it a kick. Absolutely. Now, whatever I was saying, oh, it was the dice. I have the dice here. Yeah.
Yes.
So we're going to find out where I'm going to go next. But I was just starting to explain that as I've lost my mum and dad recently, I've got to go up and clear the house this weekend, and hopefully the house will sell soon. So this dice is going to get put to good use, because I will tell you now what I plan to do on the day I get the money. I'm going to do two things.
Great.
One, I'm going to book a ticket to go to Las Vegas. But I'm going to go via Chicago because I want to travel on an Amtrak train down to Barstow or near there. And anyway, it's a long story. We'll do that another day. And the next thing I'm going to do is get on the next bus out of Glastonbury, and I'm going to get myself by means of fair means and foul across to Bruges, which is a city in Europe that I know and love dearly. I've got a favourite coffee shop there. In fact, I looked at a room there when we were still pre-Brexit to move into. I was that serious. Loved the place.
Wow.
So I'm going to go there and spend a couple of nights in a hostel. And then I'm going to go with my dice. I'm going to ask viewers to suggest European cities. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the dice, and I'm just going to travel around Europe for 6 weeks using the dice, and I'm going to come home and do.
Well, if the dice turns up Zagreb, come to Zagreb, and I will look after you.
Well, I will make sure that on several occasions the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all Zagreb.
And you will be well looked after, no worries.
Absolutely. Well, when I do come over, I can guarantee. Hello, I think we just lost Jeff. I can guarantee that when I do come over, I will be coming to see you, because yes, I've been wanting to travel around Europe for a long, long time. Last year I went to Bucharest. No, I didn't. I went to Budapest. I went to yes, I went to Budapest. I went to Prague, and I went to Venice. Venice was a little disappointing. It's one of those bucket list things that I think, now I've done it, I don't need to go back. It was too busy, too touristy. It was, there are many.
I tell you, I went to Venice. It was in November when I was working for the Royal Institute of British Architects. They sent me there to pick up some drawings that we'd lent for an exhibition. And I walked around Sunday morning, the middle of St. Mark's Square.
Yeah.
And people don't believe me, but I videoed it. I was on my own completely. There was no one around. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, no one around in St. Mark's Square. I had the whole place to myself, and I have it on video if people don't believe me.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, I found that if you go round kind of to the northeast of the main island, it's a bit more, less touristy and a bit more local, and little streets of shops and normal stuff over there. So I spent a lot of time up there, but it was very busy. Very busy.
Yeah, just go out of season, all of these places. I mean, like Dubrovnik in the south of Croatia, it's heaving with people. They have to restrict the number of people going into the city because, these big cruiser ships turn up with 50, 10, 20,000 people, and they all descend on the city. I was there during the war in '94, and I was the only tourist there. You need to go out of season if you want to really enjoy and experience, the beauty of any place, really, out of season.
I don't know if you can see there in the background, Jeff is dropping in and out. He's having all sorts of issues tonight, is our poor Jeff, with his signal.
I did see, yes. Now his screen is blank, but earlier, 10 seconds ago, he was there. So
yeah,
I'm sure he hears us.
He'll come back. He'll come back. He's doing all he can. He's doing all he can. Yeah. Well, listen, Andrew, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great to see you. Great to chat with you. And Jeff, I hope you catch up and carry on with the show. I'm just calling to say hi. And Jeff, good to see you. There you are. Lovely. And I'm continuing to watch and enjoy the show. So I will say sayonara, lako noc, as we say in Croatian, lako noc, and we'll be in touch.
Lako noc.
Lako noc, good man. Okay, bravo.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, that was brilliant. Thank you, Andrew, for bringing in. That was absolutely fantastic. Well, there you go. So that's the plan. So yes, we've got a dice to throw and we've got some destinations. Have you got any thoughts on those destinations, Jeff? Any that you like the look of? No. Can you hear me, Jeff? No. I think
you're going in and out. I'm fighting signal today.
Yes, poor Jeff.
Great.
Poor Jeff is having trouble with his signal. So what we'll do is we'll just keep going as best we can. And here comes the dice now. 3, 2, 1. And it's a 4, ladies and gentlemen. I'll let you see that. It's a 4. There we go. Just to show there's no jiggery-pokery going on here. And if I read down the list to number 4, it says, if I put my glasses on, I can see what I'm doing. The challenge is to go to 1, 2, 3, 4 Hereford Cathedral and see the Mappa Mundi. Oh, I tell you what, that is a result because I have never been to Hereford Cathedral. I've been to Hereford, but never the cathedral. And I've never seen the Mappa Mundi in person either. So that's a bit of a result. So I'm really, really pleased about that. While we try and get Jeff back and sort out what's going on, I'm just going to show you one of his videos that he made a while ago. This is about what is officially the world's smallest.
Everyone, it's Jeff again, and I am coming to you today from northern Texas. Because there's a few things about Wichita Falls, Texas that I would like to tell you. There really is falls in Wichita Falls. On July 26, 1918, oil was discovered in the area, and by the following January, they had 3,000 wells drilled and there was 8 operating refineries in the area. Oil isn't the only thing this area is known for, though. On the 10th of April, 1979, 6 tornadoes went through the town, and some accounts say it was 61 people killed, and other accounts say that it was 45. So take your pick, but it was devastating to the town. When the money began flowing into the economy in 1918, the city found itself severely lacking in office space and space for administrative offices. Boom towns attract the grifters, the con men, and Wichita Falls was no different. They found themselves with a newcomer in town by the name of J.D. McMahon, and he wanted to build a 480-foot, and I emphasize foot, skyscraper in Wichita, which would be the envy of every town for 500 miles. He contacted a man named Newby, who owned the train depot, and told him that he wanted to build a skyscraper attached to his train depot, and they would call it the Newby McMahon Building. They sold $200,000 worth of stock in this building, and construction began. What they ended up with was a 480-inch building. The people who had invested in the building sued immediately, but the case was thrown out of court very quickly because McMahon had all of the paperwork for the building and it clearly stated 480 inches. It became the big joke that they were swindled, and soon the people were tired of the whole thing and they just wanted it to go away. It was the big joke, the 480-foot skyscraper in Wichita Falls, Texas. Well, the townspeople soon got very sensitive about the whole affair, and they just wanted it to go away. So the building was boarded up and forgotten. There was an extensive fire in it in 1981. In 1979, when the tornadoes went through Wichita Falls, it knocked down a 15-foot section of wall, which was quickly repaired. The original building didn't have stairs. Stairs were added later. The original building only had a ladder because that was all that was required by codes. By the time they added a staircase to the building, it ate up over 25% of the interior volume of it. By now, 100 years later, Wichita Falls isn't nearly as sensitive about being swindled over its skyscraper. It's become somewhat of a tourist attraction. They have even developed a little bit of a sense of humor over it. The true definition of a skyscraper is a building that exceeds 100 meters tall.
Yes, bro.
But if you Google world's littlest skyscraper, guess what you find? Yes, this building in Wichita Falls, Texas.
I put this on
I leave you now. In the 1920s, in Wichita Falls, Texas, when there was 20,000 millionaires, newly made from the newly found oil, outside of Wichita Falls, Texas, and headed north.
I see there's a lady.
Remember, everyone,
Ladies, Romeo.
be good to each other, think good thoughts, do good deeds, and I will see you again on the next adventure.
Technical issues have been ongoing. So Jeff is currently coming to us via the wonders. Let me just see if I can get this to go a little bit dimmer so it doesn't blow out. Via the wonders, there he is, via the wonders of phone technology and WhatsApp. So there he is. How you doing, Jeff?
Yes. I'm good, but just trying to get signal enough to get this to work when I'm on the road after driving 600 miles is going to make me old and crazy.
Yeah, you don't need it, do you? You don't need it. So we
everybody's asking where they can get Romeo boots. It's the only place that I know of that's left that still makes them is the Georgia Boot Company. And I'm sure you can find them online, the Georgia Boot Company.
Mm-hmm. And but believe you me, they are worth every moment you spend looking for them. You will not regret it. I have a pair of these boots on now. They never come off. Until I go to bed, I don't take them off. Then when I get up, I put them back on again. It's as simple as that. If I'm upright, vertical, they're on my feet. They're that good. I've never had shoes like it in my life. They're incredible. Anyway, go on.
When the chemist is coming to town.
When the chemist?
Yes.
Chemist, you've lost me.
Emma, she says, any idea when the new chemist?
Oh, in Glastonbury. Do you know what? I don't know, but all I do know is they're going to be. I'm just trying to get this lined up. They're going to be, Poppy. They're going to be in the the Four Seasons shop, which is about a quarter way up the high street on the right hand side. They're going to go in there. That is being rebuilt as we speak. They had to have the entire floor taken out and put back in again. So I don't know, but I will find out because I do need to do an update. So I will be doing a short in the not too distant. Hello, Poppy. I'll be doing a short in the not too distant future, so that we can bring everybody up to date on that. Paul from the Red and Blue Sea, the Printworks, is the town councillor who's on top of that. You can always pop in and see him as well. He'll bring you up to date. So yeah, that's a good question. Thanks for asking that, and I will make sure everybody's up to date with it.
Station Master went and seen Jethro Tull this week. He says Ian Anderson may be a bit broader in the beam. Aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
But he's still got it. Absolute sellout and mostly around my age.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I it's been a few years since I've been to see Ian Anderson for the reasons we went into on Bernie's show the other day. But yeah, I that used to be my absolute favourite band. Sorry, I'm being pussycatted here. This is Poppy, ladies and gentlemen. Poppy, come and say hello. Here we go. Look, this is Poppy. You watch to say hello. Hello, Poppy. There she is, Poppy. This is Poppy, who likes to get in front of the camera, don't you? Yes, you do. There you go. That's Poppy. Now let's just put this back. Where were we? There we go. Right. So if I can get on with the show, please, Poppy, that would be very nice because there are people wanting to see stuff that doesn't include your bum. Right. So moving on, let's have a look. Now, we were talking earlier on about the questions that you might ask friends, aren't we, Jeff?
Yes.
And we were looking at this, and one of the questions that came up was adverts. What was the question? What's an advert you remember from when you were young?
Yes.
Now, out of that came a really, really interesting discussion because I, like most people my age, remember the chimpanzees. And sorry about my cat's tail. And Jeff came up with a memory about Wilkins coffee. So first off, I'm going to show you a couple of examples of the chimps. Now, the chimps, if you remember these, the Brook Bond PG Tips chimps were a series of adverts that ran from the early 60s through to the early 2000s, I think they kept going until, although I think they weren't as good after a while. There were some classics. So I'm going to show you 4 of the classics. Let's see how many of you can remember these adverts.
We've run out of PG Tips. PG Tips. I'll be back. You're the right drink now. Oh, come on, Jeff. That was a bit ropey. Come on, Jeff, get the PG Tips. Come on, Jeff. Diamonds, jewels, golden PG Tips. Golden PG Tips. Golden PG Tips.
Wake up to a golden cup of PG. Tender tips make tastier tea.
Oh, and Jeff, that's the last of the PG Tips.
I'll be back.
Don't strain yourself, Harry. All Harry couldn't strain a cup of tea. Not so much as gold.
Little left joviality, lads.
Come on, Harry.
Ease up.
When a good cup of tea really counts, you're right to drink Brook Bond PG Tips. It's the tea you can really taste.
Harry, I hear they're looking for a good man with a pick to dig the Channel Tunnel.
Leave off, I can't swim.
Oh, come on, lads, we should be in France by now.
This Channel Tunnel life's just boring.
I mean, we made it. Bonjour, madame.
What have you done to my lawn?
This ain't blinking Calais, this is blinking Catford. Yeah, what's your blinking French?
Have some more PG, boys.
Oh, I knew that hole would make a lovely pond. You might even get some frogs in here.
Get in the hang of it. Mind the banisters, son.
Oh, I can't hold it, Dad.
Don't worry, son. I shifted more pianos than you've had hot dinners.
Cream, Mr. Shifter. Like refreshment.
Thank you most kindly, madam. One way
fair shift, innit?
When a good cup of tea really counts, you're right to drink Brook Bond PG Tips. It's the tea you can really taste.
Dad, do you know the piano's on my foot?
You hum it, son. I'll play it.
Oh dear. I tell you what, I still laugh at those. I still laugh at those even now. And also, I mean, they're not politically correct. Did you notice the one about the Channel Tunnel where they said you might find a couple of frogs in it? You couldn't get away with that stuff nowadays. You really couldn't. But it ran for 45.
Emma says,
Go.
smash the metal robots. And Tracy Murphy says, shake and back. You mentioned shake and back the other day.
You do the shake and back and put the freshness back. You do the shake and back and put the freshness back. Yeah, absolutely. That woman had to go into her kids and tell them what she'd been doing that day. I wonder how she explained it. But, yeah, I mean, they were running, the chimps ran for 45 years. And in the end, it was, they decided that they were a bit dated and decided to scrap them. However, they did that. I tell you what, Jeff, you look like Holly, the computer from, is it Holly? Yeah,
Red Dwarf.
from Red Dwarf. Is it the face on a dark background? Sorry, I just looked up and saw that. Yeah, because in the 70s, they actually dropped them for a while. They stopped doing the adverts for 18 months. But they discovered that sales dropped. So they brought them back. People wanted to see the adverts. But interestingly, and this kind of ties in with what you're going to tell us in a minute, they were replaced by animation, stop animation done by Aardman Animation, the people who brought us Wallace and Gromit. Probably our most famous animators of the 90s, 80s and 90s. But when you tell your story, you'll see why that's an interesting link. Now, I'm going to let you introduce it first, Jeff, because then people will understand what they're looking at. So over to you.
Okay, without giving too much away before you see the video, Wilkins Coffee was a no-name. They made instant coffee. They made regular coffee. They were a very small company. I'm not sure about the quality of their coffee, but it was a pretty small company. And somebody came along and had an idea, and it changed their fortunes. It became very popular.
Apparently, it's because the station had their station ident, which was a 10-second slot. And the guy from the local television station said, look, if you want to use this up, you can have it dirt cheap, but you've got 8 seconds because we need the other 2 for our ident. That's right, isn't it?
That's exactly what happened. He said, I'll give it to you dirt cheap. He said, to me, the 10-second spot is dead airtime, and we could make a deal. So a young kid had been coming to the station, and he'd been pestering him because he wanted to start making commercials. And he thought he could make good commercials. So they went to him because obviously nobody else wanted it. They went to him and said, hey, if you can make between a 7 and 8 second commercial and it'll sell our product, we'll do it.
And this is what they got. Ladies and gentlemen, I've just got to put that down for a second. Boy, did they get more than they bargained for. Just let me, I can't change my glasses, sorry. It's the only trouble being blind and having to hold a phone up at the same time.
You can't just set me on the counter. Everybody knows what I look like.
That's true. Here we go.
In 1936, a baby boy was born in Greenville, Mississippi, not far from this plantation, the Wildwood Plantation. This was a very racist and segregated area. This is the Belmont Plantation. But the young man grew up, and he was not known for being racist. As a matter of fact, he is known for teaching love and tolerance to everyone. I am, of course, talking about Jim Henson, whose family, when he was in school, moved to Washington, D.C., where he grew up. When he was a freshman at the University of Maryland, he began having a relationship with a lady named Jane, who later became his wife. At the time, she was a senior at the university, and they began to work making and doing skits with puppets during that time. There was two characters that they primarily worked with, which they coined a new term. They called them Muppets. These two was Wilkins and Wontkins. And this is where my story is going today. Because as a young freshman at the University of Maryland, he began a campaign where he was going to businesses and he was trying to get jobs working in advertising. He wanted to promote products with these two characters, and a coffee company from the Washington area, the Wilkins Instant Coffee, came to them and had an interesting proposition.
Okay, buddy, what do you think of Wilkins coffee? I never tasted it. Now, what do you think of Wilkins?
You see, the TV station was required from time to time to stop and have a 10-second break where they would tell the call letters for the TV station. Well, the manager of the TV station thought that that was just dead air time. So he made the Wilkins Coffee Company a novel proposition. If they could find someone that would make commercials that ran from between 7 and 8 seconds, he would give them a ridiculously low price to air their commercials. That would leave them 1 or 2 seconds to show the call letter for the TV station. And they approached this 19-year-old kid and his girlfriend about making those commercials.
Boy, this hammer reminds me of Wilkins coffee. Why? Because it always hits the spot. Oh.
The commercials were a runaway success. 179 Wilkins coffee commercials were made between 1957 and 1961. And that's how these two characters, the predecessors of the Muppets, ended up in the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the story. Where's he gone? That is the story of how we got us the Muppets, courtesy of Wilkins Coffee, I think it's fair to say, isn't it, Jeff?
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
So there you go. Now that's amazing because, whoopsie daisy, we lost the chimps. Hang on. We lost the chimps to Aardman Animation, and that was kind of animation and puppets as well. It's amazing the way these things come about, and you know we don't realise. I mean, had no idea that's where the Muppets had come from. No idea at all.
The later ones, if you watch them, this 1960 and 1961. You can see the basic Muppet characters. I mean, definitely the voices.
Oh, the voices, definitely. And in fact, some of the later ones, there's Kermit the Frog as a news reporter, isn't there?
Yes.
Although he's not a frog.
Yes, and all of those are available on YouTube. If you just search for Wilkins Coffee, they're all there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing because, you know, somebody mentioned, I saw in the comments earlier, the MASH. That was another series of adverts. Mashed potato in this country made by Smash. It was the pretense was there were aliens circling above our planet looking down on us. And they were laughing at us because we took a potato out of the ground and we chopped it up and we boiled it and then we mashed it and we did all this stuff. And they were like falling over laughing at us because all they did was put these things in the bowl and sprinkle hot water on them. But that that came into a whole series of adverts. There was a whole, you know, we used to do that back in the day. There was one of the coffee brands, I can't think which one it was one of the, it was a kind of a will they, won't they get it together kind of thing. It was a young couple and he went round and borrowed a cup of sugar and she gave him a longing look and all that sort of stuff. But it, you know, it was an ongoing story. You don't get that on adverts now. They're not like they used to be. I don't think, I think a lot of the art has gone out of advert making now. I mean, some of these we're talking about now, the skill level that went into them.
The artwork has gone out of advertising. Good, 30 years ago or 40 years ago, good advertising would completely turn around a company.
Yeah, it would. It could do. It could do. It could do. Or it could kill a company. Bad advertising could kill a company, couldn't it? Just as easily.
Yes, we had a drive-in restaurant chain, and they had a particularly creepy animated mascot. And now when you go back and you look, they directly blame that creepy mascot for killing the company.
Mm. Yeah, well, if you get kids sort of bricking it as they walk in the door, it's not a good look for burger bars. I don't want to go in there, Mummy. It's scary. Take me home. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. Now, we came about these adverts because we were looking. Jeff had come up with something, and it was lists of questions that you might ask your friends. So Jeff and I have been through and we've looked at this and we've pulled some out that we thought were slightly more interesting. And we're going to, let me put Jeff on that side. We're going to go through. So I'll start off, if you like, Jeff, with here's one. Do you have any pets and do you want more? Well, as you can see, I've got pets up and down here just now. More? No, don't want more. Jeff, what about you?
I have Pete.
You've got Pete. Now, Pete was here for a while. Pete the sock monkey. Yep. And tell the people why you've got Pete, Jeff.
My sister gave me Pete because she didn't want me to be alone, and so she found him. He was at a thrift store. She bought him, and she gave him to me, and she told me that that he could travel with me, and she didn't want me to be alone all the time, but he was all the responsibility that I could handle.
Yes, and you've handled it ever since, haven't you?
He's not too much trouble. He seems to feed himself.
He does. He does. He looks after himself, and he was no trouble when he came here. In fact, the cats liked him. They slept on top of him for a while. The cats really did like him.
Did you notice, though, that he kind of helps himself to dinner in the middle of the night?
I did notice that. Yes, you'd hear a rustling, and it'd be him down in the stuff in the kitchen, and you'd look, and he'd be gone, and then you'd look, and he'd be back, and he'd have a big smile on his face. Yes, I did notice that. Here's another one.
Listen, yes, I have a pet, and I would love more.
Yeah, I got two cats. Well, I say I've got two cats. Two cats have got me. I live in a house owned by two cats. I have their permission. I have their permission. Here's another one of those questions. Where do you want to travel to next? Now, Jeff, that's for you. That's probably because you go everywhere in America. So it's going to be outside of America, I'd imagine.
Yeah, the ponderer doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to come over there, and I'm going to camp out in Coggeshall. And one day the station master is going to be working at his station, and he's going to go walking down the platform, and someone's going to say, "Excuse me, sir, could you tell me what time it is?" And little does he know that his day will change.
Because it's going to be you. Yeah, so Jeff is going to be coming this way at some point because he retires, hopefully, in a year's time. And after he's retired, he's going to come over and come visit. But I'm going to go over there before then. And we've got some serious some serious fun to be had.
You know, Mrs. Ponder makes a meatloaf that's legendary. They talk about it for hundreds of miles.
Yeah, and Jeff and I have been planning on how we can go over there and just camp outside until some meat pie is made available to us. We have this already planned.
If we look pitiful enough, she might make us meatloaf.
She might. Well, I mean, we can do pitiful. Jeff, on the count of 3, your best pitiful look. 1, 2, 3. How did we do? Would you make us meat pie? Oh, that's so funny. These questions are really good. I mean, here's another one. What's your...
I'm going to ask Andrew Norris if he's ever been to America.
Andrew Norris, have you been to America? Answers in the thingamajigs down wherever they are. Where's the camera? Answers down there. What's your most embarrassing story, Jeff?
Oh, that's easy.
Oh,
that is an easy story.
Go on.
Should I tell the back? Okay, I'll tell the background. There was an ice cream chain here in America called Farrell's, and they did everything over the top. You would order ice cream, and they would bring it out on a stretcher with a siren, and they had flashing lights, and it was total chaos. It was like Keystone Cops. It was total pandemonium. And I wanted to go to Farrell's when I was growing up so badly, I couldn't stand it. I would have given anything to have gone to Farrell's.
Should we show them what Farrell's is all about?
And at her 8th birthday party at Farrell's, even the Beasley brothers had fun. When Jake the Snake had his birthday at Farrell's, the whole group wanted to come. In fact, there's only one place so crazy, so totally wacko, that everybody has a party. Farrell's. Because whether you're 6 or 14 or right in between, you always have a party at Farrell's.
Absolutely crazy. I wish I could have gone. I really wish I could have gone. Anyway, so now they've seen it, Jeff. Continue your story. Oh, hang on.
Okay, so we were living in Tri-Cities at the time, which is 3 towns in Washington: Pasco, Kennewick, and Richland. They were building a nuclear power plant there. And my dad worked at the nuclear power plant. And we were living there, and they had a Farrell's. And one day my mom and we were just sitting around the house, and I told her, I said, let's go to Farrell's. And she said, oh, I don't want to go in. But if you want to go down there, you can go in and get us a couple of cones. And I said, well, it's Farrell's. You go in, you have ice cream. That's the point. No, I don't want to go in. If you want to go down there, we'll go ahead and have cones. You can go in and get us a couple of cones. So I go in there, and I ask the lady, I say, do you guys do cones? Could I get a couple of cones? Without saying a word, she reached over, cued the intercom, and told everybody, this is Farrell's. Do we do cones? And everybody said, no. And she said, this gentleman wants cones. And they had spotlights on me. And there I stood.
Never to go in a Farrell's ever again as long as you lived.
They heckled me. They brought me like 4 people ran out. They had buckets of just a cone, just a cake cone, and threw them at me.
Oh man, that's not good. That's not good. And of course, they've now gone bankrupt. There's none left, sadly, so you can't experience it anymore.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't go to a Farrell's now, even if they gave me $1 million. But yeah, they had a jet go off runway in Sacramento and went into the Farrell's and killed 22 people. And
yeah, that
after
was
that,
sad.
that was kind of their.
Yeah, that was sad. That was sad. Well, I'm looking at the time, Jeff. It's crept up and beaten us again. It's 9 o'clock already. Where did the time go?
There's so much we didn't talk about. We didn't show the Olympia beer video.
No, we didn't do that, did we? No, we didn't do that.
I'll have to save it.
We'll save that for next because that's interesting. The Olympia beer is genuinely interesting. We'll save that for next time. But
Andrew Norris says no. I haven't. I thought I'd like to see New York because of the Henry Miller.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen recently of life in New York, I'll pass. But I would still love to see the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah, that is an iconic structure, most definitely. I don't know.
I wonder if Andrew has seen the who was the guy that did the Titanic film, the documentary about the Titanic? He did a video about the Brooklyn Bridge, and it had my favorite author in it. It was I'll find Andrew. I'll find a link. I will send you a link to that. You would really like that documentary.
Yeah, I mean that is a classic bridge. The building in New York I would like to see is the Chrysler Building. I think that's a beautiful building. The top of that with those those arched windows as it goes to the top, absolutely beautiful. I prefer it to the New York Empire State Building. I'm
going to do a video about the Flatiron Building, but I haven't got around to it yet because it's such a fascinating story. And now there's like 15 owners. I say that not facetiously.
No, there are.
They're literally
there's
a bunch of partners, and they're all fighting, and now it's empty and it's crumbling, and no one's working on it.
Yeah, I was reading about that. There was the other day actually. Yes, so it's a bit sad, and of course it's iconic. The Flatiron. I mean, blimey, everybody knows the Flatiron, don't they? If you don't know the Flatiron, it's a very narrow triangular building that looks remarkably in plan form like a Flatiron. Bit of a giveaway there, but yeah, that's fascinating as well. So I don't want to outstay our welcome. So we will kind of wind. There's a couple of things. One, hopefully watching tonight is a nice gentleman called Carl. Now, Carl is the brother of George. George and Patricia, you may know, watch the channel and have been supporters of the channel for a long, long time. Carl is over from Ohio for 5 weeks, and we're hoping to get him on the show while he's here. Maybe next time around, maybe the one after. The idea being, we thought it might be interesting to get an American's perspective on England, because Jeff is in America. He has a perspective. I'm in England. I have a perspective. But, you know, an American in England would see things probably slightly different. Maybe they think we're a bit backwards in some things. Maybe they think we're not. I don't know. But we thought it might be interesting to get an American's view of England. So we're hopefully going to get Carl to come on and tell us, without being too negative, what he thinks of England. What do you reckon, Jeff?
I reckon that, maybe not dwelling on the negativity of it, but just maybe acknowledging the differences.
Yeah, we're two nations separated by a common language, aren't we, really?
I pretty much think you guys do a better job on everything. I mean, I could sit and rattle 100 things that I would immediately concede that you guys do better. Really, the only thing I'm challenged by Parcel Force. They recently lost an original 60-hour, and I'm not very happy with them.
That's a watch, pocket watch, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. No, they were Pocket Force. Had that typical call. There's an attitude that we have in this country. It's engendered by those people, and it's engendered by the border force. It's that horrible, officious kind of thing, and they're not very nice. But anyway.
Hello Kitty says, I went to Seattle a long time ago. It was magical. You could breathe right down to your toes.
Yeah. Yeah, Seattle. Now, Seattle, there's two things I want to look at in Seattle. One is the big tall tower that they built for, was it the 61 World Trade Fair? That big tall tower?
Yeah, it was the World's Fair, yeah. Elvis came, and that changed everything.
That's it. And the other thing I want to see is it's a 0.9 of a mile long. There's a monorail takes you from the city centre to that tower. And I want to ride that monorail and go up the tower. It looks brilliant. Absolutely. The tower's got 2 levels, and the lower level has got a revolving glass floor. Yes, when you literally look down between your feet, and there's this enormous drop. Yes, please, I'd like some of that. Because for someone who doesn't like flying, I love heights. It's crazy. I mean, I was up that scaffolding in Glastonbury like a mountain goat the other week.
Station Master says Ballard Locks in Seattle. I used to work at the Ballard Locks.
What's the Ballard Locks?
It's a way. It's a where the ships come in and it narrows down, and there's locks that allow them to go into Lake Washington.
Okay.
I used to work there.
What did you do there?
I had came back from working on the oil production modules, and I was sitting around doing nothing, and I got bored. And I had met this gentleman, and he asked me if I wanted to come and work for this company and the engineering, fixing the equipment and all that. I did it for a short time, but I didn't really like it. But the company was right on the canal. It was right at the Ballard Locks.
Wow. Well, as I said earlier on, Jeff has done many, many things in his life. Very many interesting things. Listen, guys, it is getting late. There's just one last parish notice, as a station master would call it, and that is June the 4th is the 80th anniversary of D-Day. And I've been asked by the local town council here to obviously film what's going on. One of the things that's going on is going to be a ceremony up the Tor. They're having a wood-fired brazier up there, and there's all things going on up there. Now, I kind of thought to myself, well, if there's veterans there, they might not be able to get up the Tor. So I'm going to attempt to do one of these live broadcasts like we're doing tonight, but from up the Tor. Now, it won't be like tonight's show. It will literally be, I'll be filming it so that people who can't come up the Tor can watch it down on a screen in the town somewhere. But it does mean that if any of our watchers want to come along and watch what happens on that day, hopefully we'll have a live feed for you. We're doing a show 2 days before anyway, on the, must have been around about the 2nd, I guess. And I'll let you know then what the details are, if it's going to go ahead, if I can do it, if the technical things all come together. But that's one for your diary for the 4th of June. Any other last bits and pieces, Jeff, before we say goodbye to our lovely guests and people?
Now everybody's saying good night, so I will too. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, good night, everybody. And so it's good night for me, and it's good night for him. And I'm going to push this button over here, and we're going to go away. Bye-bye.